Hey everybody, it's Tony Cottaspoti here, and I wanted to talk about President Trump's arrival at the White House and the way CNN covered it, because it's really an absolute disgrace. This is only a 2-minute video, but I have a bit to say about it before I let it start to run. When President Trump was released from Walter Reed, he made a short video, and he wanted Americans to realize that there was no real need for people to be terrified of the coronavirus. I mean, he wasn't making it seem like it was not dangerous or anything. He was just saying that our reaction to it has been really overstated, and that, I mean, just look at him as an example. I mean, he got the coronavirus and he went into the hospital on a Friday and basically just spent the weekend there, and he was out of the hospital and pretty much on the way back to full recovery, if not there yet, almost there, and that this wasn't as dangerous as it's being portrayed. I mean, certainly 200,000 people dying, if in fact that number is correct, which is also subject to some controversy, but let's assume it is correct. 200,000 people dying. Why did 200,000 people die? Well, 200,000 people died because it was a new virus. We had no idea how dangerous it was, to whom it was dangerous, and how to treat it. And even when there were treatments like hydroxychloroquine that seemed to show some promise by doctors in the field who were actually treating patients, the medical establishment and the medical bureaucracy in the government, led by Fauci and Redfield and Birx, all stood in the way of using hydroxychloroquine in favor of drugs like remdesivir, which cost $3,000 a dose, versus hydroxychloroquine, which cost $1 a dose. And I'm not going to get totally into that, the weeds on that. However, it was a factor, and that was why many people died. And then there were also people that were listed as being that dying from COVID-19 that actually did not die of COVID-19. They died with COVID-19. So, but let's just assume the 200,000 is right. That's not, the death toll is not accelerating. The numbers of hospitalizations, the percentage of hospitalizations are not accelerating. The caseload is going down. Hospitals are not being overrun. I mean, there may be some hot spots in the country, but the worst of this thing is over. And that's all President Trump was trying to say, is that we can go on with our lives. Businesses don't have to remain shut down. Children can go back to school. We don't have to make the cure worse than the disease. Remember when he said that? But that's not serving the media, because the media wants him destroyed. And leading the media is CNN. And just listen to the words that are used by Abelio Acosta. Yeah, I know people call him Jim. His name isn't Jim, it's Abelio. And that's really his name. Look it up. I guess he's ashamed of being born with an ethnic sounding name. Too bad. That's your name, Abelio. But here we go. I want you to listen to this, because it really is shameful the way Jim Acosta treats President Trump in this video.
Jim Acosta is over at the White House for us. Jim, the Marine One about to land on the south lawn of the White House. The president will walk down those stairs, head towards the entrance of the White House. I guess there's a pool of reporters, photojournalists already stationed there, Jim, and
right.
We'll ask the president questions. We'll see if he answers any questions or if he just says thank you and gives a thumbs up.
Oh, that's right, Wolf. They'll try to ask him some questions as he comes into the White House. But keep in mind, this is not just the president returning to the White House. This may be patient zero. This is the virus coming back to the White House. And I will tell you, Wolf, having been here all day, it is eerily quiet and empty inside the corridors of the West Wing. with Kayleigh McEnany, the White House press secretary, testing positive for the virus, two press assistants testing positive for the virus. They evacuated much of the West Wing earlier today. All of those staffers have gone home. Just about all of those staffers have gone home. So forget about the emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no staff tonight, and they're going to have to ramp that back up, Wolf, to get this White House up to speed for the return of the president. I mean, it is sort of extraordinary to think about. And I will tell you, there are members of the press corps who are concerned about this. I was just talking with a print photographer not too long ago who was asking me, Jim, would you mind not asking the president any questions when he returns to the White House? Because I don't want the president to come over and breathe on me when he answers his questions. Wolf, and that is not an exaggeration. That is these are the kinds of conversations that are going on over here at the White House right now, because people are petrified. They are frightened that this virus is just working its way through the grounds of the White House and infecting people left and right. And the president may think he's flexing his muscles right now and he's about to go out on the campaign trail and go back to the way things were. But just about everybody else, not just in the press, but among his staff, people are just petrified that this is getting out of control.
Yeah. Now, I want to go over a couple of things so you get an understanding of where I'm coming from. Here are some of the phrases that Jim Acosta uses. He referred to President Trump as patient zero. We don't know if President Trump is patient zero. That's a ridiculous thing to say anyway, because the president has no one around him that is knowingly infected, because everybody is tested before they're in the presence of the president. However, there was a New York Times reporter who was at the Rose Garden event when they announced Amy Coney Barrett, and he was infected 10 days before President Trump. May have shown negative on his test when he was coming in. Maybe it was a bad test. Maybe not. Maybe he was just not symptomatic, or maybe he just, like I said, the test was bad. But he could have been patient zero, but we don't know any of this because they haven't done any of this contact tracing that they say they're going to do, or they're in the process of doing. So for him to say he may have been patient zero, I mean, that's just such a petty and disgusting remark to make. Then he said that the virus, he referred to the president as the virus, is back in the White House, which is kind of interesting because it kind of forgets the whole idea of the fact that Melania Trump is in the White House and she's sick with the coronavirus right now. And the virus is already in the White House. Jim Acosta, Abelio. So that's really kind of unfair way to characterize it. He also characterized the White House as eerily quiet. He's not even in there. How would he know? I mean, so he calls it eerily quiet. He says he refers to the president as the emperor when he says the emperor has no clothes and the emperor has no staff either. I mean, that's just like a snide remark. Called the situation extraordinary, which I guess you could say is okay because this has never happened before where a president came down with a serious virus like this, except we can look back to when Woodrow Wilson was negotiating the Versailles Treaty in 1919. And it's believed that he came down with the Spanish flu, which incapacitated him and led to a stroke, which is why he was, basically incommunicado for the last year and a half of his presidency. And then he related a story, Jim Acosta, about that without naming anybody. So we don't even know if it's true. But he said, oh, and I'm not exaggerating, like, that's what people usually say when they're exaggerating, that another reporter said, I don't want to ask the president a question because I don't want the president breathing on me. The president doesn't get that close to people. I mean, it's just insane. It's completely stupid to make a statement like that. He used the phrase petrified and frightened more than once. He said that the staff is petrified, that the media is petrified, that the White House staff around the president is petrified. Didn't name any names. Who's petrified, Jim? Who's petrified? And then he said that people were being infected left and right. We don't really know how people got infected in the first place, Jim. And maybe you're being kind of left out of this. Maybe it would be okay if you got infected. That might actually help. Anyway, then he goes on to say that the staff is petrified. And all I'm really trying to point out here is just how ridiculous and unfair CNN is, it's not just Jim Acosta, it's their entire lineup. Now, why is that? You might want to ask yourself, why is that? Why is CNN so opposed to President Trump? Why are they never giving him a fair shake in any of their coverage, in any of their reporting? And what you have to do to learn why that is possibly the case is to look at who actually owns CNN. And when you do that, you learn that it's Time Warner that owns CNN. And Time Warner has very big investments in a little country out in the Far East called Communist China. And Communist China doesn't really like Donald Trump. They much rather have Joe Biden because they can make Joe Biden do their bidding. And Joe Biden has, you know, he can be bought. He has been bought. His son was able to get, what was the name? His investment firm was able to get $1.5 billion in assets to invest for China, which generates millions of dollars in fees. So that's a possible reason why CNN is so pro-Biden and pro-China. They're pro-China by definition because they're anti-Trump. And they're anti-Trump in a way that serves their interests. It's not even just that it's not simply being anti-Trump and pro-Biden makes you pro-China necessarily, but when it helps your financial situation in your business, well, then that's a conflict of interest, isn't it? So that's what I wanted to point out with this video. I'm glad you could watch it. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you get a chance, and I'll speak to you soon.